Hey guys, it's me again. Okay, so today's lesson is going to be a lot shorter than yesterday's. Trust me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want you to know that I am still healthy, still fine, no illness or anything. I hope all of you are staying healthy and everything. Now you see why I've been on y'all about wearing masks and stuff? You're the ones that don't always wear the masks, and I'm the one home. Something wrong with that. It's not right. Y'all know I hate this. Okay, enough of that. All right, here we go. All right, so we're going to do the last section for this chapter that y'all are doing. We're skipping 6.6 and we're going straight to 6.7, graphing linear inequalities, okay? We're going to be doing that, and then we're done with this chapter. Thank you, Jesus. We're going to be getting ready for your test, and your test is still Friday. So please make sure that you're staying up on the IXLs and studying and everything, and you're going to be fine. Okay? All right, here we go. 6.7, graphing linear inequalities. Okay, so this is kind of like finishing off this chapter. We've been graphing linear inequalities. Linear meaning lines. We've been graphing lines back and forth here and there and everything. Now we're doing inequalities, okay? Now, just in case some of you have forgotten, let's talk about what inequality means. Inequality. When I say inequality, we're talking about things like, you know, less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, etc. Okay, that's what we're talking about there. Okay, so if you had forgotten, there you go. That should ring a bell. So we're talking about an equation containing a greater than, less than, I don't know if you're going to have too many of those. Not equal to, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, instead of the equal sign. Okay? So you're going to solve these exactly the same. There's no difference in how you solve these, except for the fact that you're replacing that equal sign with greater than, less than stuff. You're also going to be shading, and so we're going to get to that, and your line, you know, your linear equation, your line that you're going to be drawing on the Cartesian plane, it's going to be either dashed or solid. Remember, if you remember, we've done this before. You did this last year, and we have talked about that this year. All right, so the steps for solving this. Step 1. You're going to solve for y and identify the slope and y-intercept. Okay, guys, keep in mind, the objective for today is for you to be able to graph the equation, and it's going to be an inequality. So you're going to be able to do that. So it's not just going to be one line. It's going to contain a whole section. Oh, we'll get to that. Okay, so step 2, and I'm going to make this, the distance learning lessons are going to be short and sweet. Like I'm skipping over some stuff, okay? I know yesterday's wasn't short and sweet, but it is what it is. Okay, so step 2, you're going to graph the equation. Okay, so you're going to graph the equation A. And I'm putting a star here. If it's less than or greater than, you're going to use a dashed line. Now in class we'd be doing more talking about this, but you're going to be using a dashed line. I'm going to underline that in red. And it's going to look like this. Since I'm not in class, I'm just going to give you the basics. All right? So if the equation is just less than or greater than, not the and equal to. If it's just less than or greater than, you're going to use a dashed line, okay? However, if it's less than or equal to or greater than equal to, you're going to use solid line. Now, I have had students that it's easy for them to remember because underneath here you have a solid line, and that's how they remember which one is solid and which one is dashed. Okay, remember, if it's solid, that means it's including that line. Okay, dashed, you know, okay, we've already learned about that. It's, you remember when we talked about the closed circle and the open circle and everything? Excuse me, that's what we're talking about. Okay, I will tell you a common mistake on my students is they are working and concentrating so hard on solving these that they forget to do the dashed and the solid. Okay, so that's something you're going to really need to, you know, that whole attention to detail thing I'm always talking about. You're going to need to really pay attention to that because that's a common mistake, and it's silly to get points taken off for something that you know how to do. Okay, the step 3 is shading. All right, now there's 2 methods to this, and there's some teachers that may disagree with this, but a lot I have found, and I had a professor that actually showed me this method. Some of my little shortcuts that I do with y'all, I told y'all about that professor I had that had the cowboy boots that she wore every day, every single day. Okay, she taught me this, and I thought it was so funny. So this is the method I'm going to teach you. So you are shading, by the way, with these inequalities. If the equation, the inequality, is y is greater than mx plus b, shade above the line. Okay, so if your inequality, your equation, your linear equation, linear inequality, has that symbol, greater than, you're going to shade above the line. Okay? It works every time. So if it's greater than your end product, by the way, because you're going to be moving stuff around to get it into this format, y is greater than mx plus b. You're going to shade above the line. But if the equation or inequality, I want to make sure you know what we're talking about here, is y is less than mx plus b, shade below. And that's the same as if it was an equal to. So basically, if it's greater than or greater than equal to, shade above. Makes sense. Greater than, above. If it's less than or less than equal to, you're going to shade below. Okay? That's how you remember how to shade. Literally, I'm telling you, there's other methods that probably would make Mr. B and maybe even your substitutes crazy because I'm not doing them. But I will tell you, I have taught, there's actually, more than one way of knowing where to shade. And hands down, every single student for the past 10 years does it this way. It's easy. Okay, so there you go. Little tidbit passed on by a college professor. All right, let's move on. Let's go ahead and do some examples. See, we're jumping right in. We are graphing today, by the way. So just in case your sub doesn't know, I don't know if they're showing this for the whole class or if you're doing it individually. Hoping you get to do it individually because then you can work at your own pace. You're going to need rulers. All right. I'm glad I thought of this. Okay, y'all know where the rulers are. Y'all know that you have your names on them. You cannot take them home. And please clean your hands when you are using these or messing with the bags and stuff like that. So once you get it to your desk, go clean your hands. When you go take it back, go clean your hands. Let's try to be safe, okay? And remember my rules on graphs. They better be nice and neat. Some of you think that since I'm not there, I'm not going to care about neatness. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. I will find you. If you do that, you will use a ruler and your lines and everything will be nice and neat. See, I'm wasting time just telling you about that. All right, so let's look at number 1. It says, state whether a solid or dashed line is used in the graph of each inequality. All right, so here's your inequality. They gave you y is greater than or equal to negative 5x plus 3. All right, that's what they gave you. Guys are not having to solve anything. They're not even asking about shading. All they want to know is if it's going to be a solid or dashed line. So you look at this. Notice that line there. So the answer is solid. Simple enough, right? All right, let's move on. If you have questions, your sub will pause the video or you can pause it and ask. If you're doing it by yourself, pause the video, raise your hand, and your sub will be glad to come help you. All right, or I can help you tonight. 2x minus 13y is greater than 8. Okay, again, they want to know, is it solid or dashed? That's it. That's all they want to know. There you go. There is no line underneath there, so what is it? That's right. It is dashed. Very, very good. Oh my gosh, you are so smart. Okay, let's move on. We're going to skip all that nonsense there. Told y'all we're going to move. Wait till you see next chapter. I'll tell y'all a story about that another time. Okay, so let's look at 13. Yeah, okay, 13. Now, see, here's what stinks about this. Now, normally I'd be teaching this and I would say, hey, Franz, give me your book. Let me show the class. I don't have that. So y'all are going to have to look at your book when I am talking about 13. So it says match, let me move my book over here. Match each inequality with its graph. Okay, so please note in your book, A, B, C, and D, they have pictures of graphs there. Okay? Below that, 13, 14, 15, 16, they have the inequality written up there. That equation, the inequality, you have to match it. Now, there's tricks, you know, there's little clues given to you. So let me tell you, notice, look at each one. Graph A, it has a solid line and it's shaded below. Graph B is shaded above and has a dashed line. Graph C is shaded below and has a dashed line. And D is shaded above and has a solid line. So those are clues right there. So 13, the inequality is y is greater than x plus 2. Okay, boys and girls, before we think of anything else, look at that sign. It's greater than. Is it going to shade above or below if it's greater than? You can even look back in your notes, okay? It's going to shade above. Shh. All right, that's my cat. Okay, so it's shading above. So right then and there, which two choices could it be? With just knowing that you're shading above with this, you eliminate A and C because those are shading below. So now we're stuck with B and D. All right, so the other clue, is this going to be solid or dashed? It's going to be dashed. Okay, so just knowing that, which graph is it? You're looking for one of those graphs that is shaded above and dashed. You're correct. It's B. B is your answer. See how easy that was? All right. You can rewind that, look at it again, okay, or even ask your sub. All right, 15. Y is less than or equal to x plus 2. Okay, again, do we have to solve this or look at the y-intercept or anything? Absolutely not. All you need to do is look at this. Shade below or above? That's right, you're shading below. That is less than. If it's less than, it's below, okay? Greater than, it's above. You don't see anything I'm doing with my hands, so I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay, so now let's look at the line. That tells us it's going to be a solid line. So, look at the graphs. Which one is shaded below and a solid line? That's right, it's A. So A is your answer. Okay? If you have questions, you know what to do. All right, 17. Okay, 17 says graph each inequality. Here we go, children. Let's start graphing. Get your rulers, okay? I got mine. I actually found one here. I'm so excited. Okay, so the inequality is x is less than -4. Okay, now this is where it's tricky. This one is weird. The first one they give you. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so I'm going to draw my Cartesian plane. Okay, this is my x. This is my y. Okay, and it says x is less than -4. And some of you are like, well, I don't get it. There's no y equals mx plus b, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now think. We have done this before. If it's just x and equals -4, how would we do that? Same as we do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's -4. Oh. First of all, first thing you do, make sure this is a rule of thumb so you don't forget. Do like I'm doing here. Circle the inequality sign before you graph and say, is that a solid or dashed line? That's dashed because there's no line underneath it, to make it solid. And am I shading below or above? That's less than, so you shade below. If you make it a habit of writing those two things down before you graph, you probably won't make silly mistakes. So now we can graph, and we know it's going to be a dashed line. Do you know I forget to do that every year I teach this? So all I'm going to do, and it looks like this because it's crossing the x-axis at -4. Now, the whole thing about shading below and above, when it's straight up and down, you're like, what is above? Above is up here and below's down here. Well, in this case, we're talking about the number line. If we're shading below, and this is the number line, and this is 0, which do you think would be considered below? That's right, your negative numbers, getting smaller. So if I were to shade on this side, it would be above because you're getting higher. The numbers are getting greater, bigger as you go this way. But this side, and you would shade it like that, you're shading this way because it's below. It's getting smaller. The numbers are getting smaller. So that's your answer. Your answer, you don't have to, this is it. You don't have to circle yours, but I wanted you to know. You graph it, and then you have to shade. Now, I have had students that have colored pencils, and they make it all nice and neat and everything. Typically it's the girls, but guys, if you want to do it too, or if you're like I was growing up, I don't have time for that, and I just shade it myself. I don't care. And really and truly, it doesn't have to be perfect. Some of you Some kids will give me the most beautiful graphs I've ever seen in my life, and I love it. It's up to you. Not picky on that. I do want straight lines though. All right, let's do a couple more. I got 3 more. Yep, 3 more. That's it. All right, so 19. Y is greater than 3x plus 2. Okay, so remember what I told you. A good rule of thumb is to check out your inequality sign. First of all, is it solid or dashed? It is dashed because it's not, an equal to, so it's just dashed. And it's greater than, so we're going to shade above or below. Shade above. Okay, so now we can do it. Now we're graphing. That other one was just weird. But remember, because I do have, new students and stuff, when we're graphing, it has to be in that y equals mx plus b format, which this is, okay? But we're substituting with an inequality. So this is already in the correct format. We don't have to move stuff around. Question, what is your slope? It's all right, 3 over 1, because you want that rise over run. Okay, and what is your y-intercept? Where the line, your graph line, the linear, whatever, crosses the y-axis? That's right, it is 2. All right, let's get going. Now, your homework, it is to be done on graph paper. Don't sit there and you know who you are. Well, Miss Rogers, I'm really good at drawing straight lines without a ruler and without graph paper. My classroom, my rules. And there's my X and my Y. And let's see. We know our I know. What is the first thing that you put on your graph? What is the first point that you plot? What do you do first? Your y-intercept. That is always the first thing you do. Your y-intercept is a positive 2. So let's just say it's, I'm going to do here. So that's 1, that's 2. That's my y-intercept, okay? Now you guys, when you're using graph paper, remember every box better be a number. I don't want to see something that looks like this. Yeah, y'all know who you are. Nuh-uh, we're not doing that. Okay, so this is just for notes. So we have 2. Now our slope is 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3, and 1. 1, 2, 3, and 1. So it's going to be about like that. Now, it's a dashed line. There's my dashed line. We shade above. Now look at this line. This is clear as to what's above. Think of it as like a table, a teetering table, okay? You can't even put your ruler there. What would be above the ruler? Down here or up here? This would be above that line. Down here is below the line, okay? So, and that's kind of confusing. You will shade above. There you go. Okay? All right, let's do another. 21. 2x minus y less than or equal to 4. All right. Oh, I like this one. This is good. This is not in y equals mx plus b format, so we need to do it. Okay, so first thing I need to move, my 2x. It's a plus 2x. It's positive. So the opposite is negative. And I'm left with, oh look, oh my, don't forget this. Negative y less than or equal to negative 2x plus 4. All right, now, can I have that negative? No, you cannot have that negative, so y'all know what to do. Now, guess what? Some of you probably remember what happens to the inequality sign when I do that. Yep, y'all remember. You flip it. So it's y, that becomes positive, positive. That becomes greater than or equal to positive 2x minus 4. Okay, so check that out. Don't forget, when you have to do that, you remember it's the whole dividing by negative and stuff like that. When you multiply or divide by a negative on both sides, blah, blah, blah. By a negative, you have to change that inequality. I'm sure y'all remember. But just in case, now you remember. Now you know. Anyway, so there's our equation there. So now we are going to answer the question of, is that a solid or dashed line? It's solid. Is that going to be shaded above or below? Shade above. So solid and shade above. I'll do my graph over here. Okay. Oh. What's my slope? It's right here. 2, or 2 over 1. And your y-intercept is -4. Okay, because that's your mx plus b right there. Sorry about that. So what's the first thing that I put on there? That's right, your y-intercept. That's first. So I'm going to come down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Putting my first little dot right there on the y-axis because the y-intercept is -4. Now I'm going to do my rise over run. 1, 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1. Now it's a solid line. Connect my little dots there. And we're shading above. And this is above that line. Above that line. Any questions? All right. Let's see. Last one, number 29. I think y'all have the rest. I think you got the rest. All right, 29. If you still need some extras, if you still need some to do, ask your substitute to do some more odd ones, okay? And have him text me. I'm sitting by my phone. I can send him a picture of the book and everything else because I keep forgetting to do that. So remind him if you have questions that he can text me and I'll send a picture of the book. All right, 29 says write a linear inequality describing each graph. Okay, so look at 29. You ask yourself questions, just like when we're doing 13 and 15. Look at 29. What kind of line is that? Look at it. What kind of line is that? That's a solid line. Is it shaded below or above? Shade below. Okay, so it's shaded below. Solid line, how can you say that? Solid line, shade below. So, if it's a solid line and shade below, what is the inequality sign going to look like? It's going to be a less than and equal to with the line below. Solid line means it has this down here. It's also an equal to. Shade below means it's a less than. So then you've got that information. Now you can start writing your equations. What's the first thing we start with? What is your y-intercept? So where on that Cartesian plane did the graph or the line cross the y-axis? Look at where it crossed the y-axis, not the x, but the y. That's right, -3. It crossed at -3. If you do not see that, ask your sub or review, look at it again. You can rewind and play it again. So you start there, and go up and over your rise over run until you find your slope, the next intersection. Okay? We've been doing these like crazy, so you should know. If you go up and over, you rise 2, positive 2, and you go right 3. So your slope is 2 over 3. So now you just write the y equals mx plus b format, and you insert this information right here. So it'd be y is less than or equal to, right here's your slope, 2 over 3x minus 3. There's your answer. If you need to rewind and play this again, you can. So we figured out that it was a solid line and shade below, so that's how we figured this out, by just looking at the graph. Then we looked at where the line crossed the y axis, and that gave us our y-intercept, which is very important. And then from there, we could figure out our slope. So all you do is you plug it in. Plugged in the inequality, the slope, and the y-intercept. You are doing page 272, numbers 14 through 30, even. They are due Wednesday. And your IXL due Friday. And you have a test Friday. All right? Okay, guys. I miss you more than you know. Talk to y'all later. Bye.